the real, raw, honest conversations about parenting teenagers in today's world. No filters, no sugarcoating, just truth, compassion, and practical insight from experts, educators, and parents who are right in the trenches alongside you. This podcast is where parents come to hear the conversations they didn't even know they needed. My mission is simple: to help you feel supported, informed, and empowered so you can build the connection with your teen that you truly want. If you want to go deeper into this work with me, stay until the end, and I will share how you can connect with me. From my heart to yours, thank you for being here, for doing the hard work of parenting, and for choosing to grow right alongside your teen. Welcome to another episode of Parenting Teens Advice Redefined, where we have the real and the raw and the honest conversations about all things challenging, all things teen. And today's conversation is a very special one for me. My guest is Susan Tatem, again, the visionary behind the anthology Daring to Belong, Stories of Autism, Courage, and Connection. Susan brought together 10 powerful voices, parents and others willing to tell honest and vulnerable stories behind raising, teaching, and supporting our neurodivergent kids, and the courage it takes to stay connected through the hardest season. I'm honored to be one of those contributing authors in this book, and what makes this project even more meaningful is that all proceeds from the book are being donated to support autism, turning these stories into something that gives back to the very community it represents. In her chapter, Because Our Bond Matters, Loving My Autistic Adult Child Through Hard Seasons, Susan shares her deeply honest look at parenting beyond childhood, when your autistic child becomes an adult and the journey towards independence doesn't follow society's timelines. Her story challenges the idea that adult arrives with a birthday instead of reveals something far more reveal, that independence is built slowly and sometimes painfully, and often through seasons of rupture, growth, rebuilding, and hope. Susan's writing captures something many parents feel but rarely say out loud: the complicated tension between celebrating our children's independence and quietly carrying the ache of loving them even when they pull away. Susan, I am so grateful for the leadership you have shown in bringing this anthology together. It helped me check something off my bucket list. Your courage you showed in being so vulnerable and sharing your journey. So welcome, Susan Tatem. I am truly honored to have you here.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. I know we've connected on several things, and I'm just so excited to be here. This anthology is going to be the first of many that I hope to come, but I am just so humbled and thrilled that we were able to come together. And this book is not just about us. It brings a global network together. Mm-hmm. It spans 3 countries on 2 different continents. And I'm just so amazed at what these women, including yourself, have agreed to just come together and be the voice to share their story. That's what my platforms are all about.
I love it. And before we even dive into your chapter in the book, can you just talk a little bit about, and I know we've done this before, but who you are and and Susan Tatem, what is the point?
Absolutely. So my background is in healthcare. I've been in physical therapy for 30 years. However, my main job, of course, which we don't get paid for, was being a single mom who raised a daughter with autism by myself into adulthood. And she is going to be 28 this year in 2026. And I can't believe that because I can't possibly be 28 years more. But through her, she wasn't diagnosed till she was 10. And that's when I started getting a glimpse into the autism world and starting to research and learn and really understand what it is. And I just fell in love with it and had this burning passion to learn everything I could, help as many people as possible, whether it was local. My friend and I started a local support group when our kids were teenagers. We used to do activities and have cookouts and all kinds of things. It was really fun. And, as our kids grew up, they didn't want to do that stuff anymore. But I also was so blessed in the late teen years to have an advocate myself that I went to and learned from. And she has since passed on. And that just fueled my passion even more. Like, why should the wisdom that she shared to me that changed my life and changed my daughter's life, why should that die with her? Yeah. I want to just share what I learned, and we all have our own journey. But if someone can come alongside you and say, okay, you don't worry about this. This is what you really need to do, or point you in a direction, and you make all the decisions yourself, of course, but just avoid these pitfalls that I went through. Don't make the same mistakes that I did, and really try to help ease that journey as much as possible, because it's not a straight line. I think I mentioned that in my chapter. It's not a straight line. It's definitely a curvy, bumpy, hilly, just very interesting journey. And so that's kind of me. My mission, my vision is to use my voice to help amplify and elevate the autism community and really invoke change, not just here in the US, but globally. Because like we were talking about a minute ago, this is a global issue. It's not just here. It's not just Canada. It's all over the world. And what I have learned too throughout my journey, reaching out and networking with people such as yourself, is that I don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's people out there that want to do this. They just don't know where to start or how to use their voice. And that is what I want to do, is tell my story, but help others tell theirs as well.
I love it. And I love our collaboration already. Before we dive into what I want to talk about in your chapter, for listeners, who is the book for, Susan? Who needs to read this book?
I think everybody does. And it has nuggets for parents. We have one person who focuses on grandparents. We have people that are professionals. We have one person who diagnosed herself with autism as an adult, because back when I was growing up, we didn't really have the diagnosis like that going around. It was very, very different. And so if you're a professional, there are things in there you can glean from the other professionals, or even just understanding the stories. I want to have that bridge between the neurotypical and neurodivergent world, because we need to break the stereotypes. Yeah. We've come a long way, but there's still a lot of stereotypes out there, and they need to be broken. And the way to do that is to pull back the curtain to the neurotypical world and say, this is what it's really like. Because I always describe it like a club. When your child is diagnosed, you have a child with special needs, you're in a club. And you don't ask to be there, but you're there. And like yourself, having worked with the special needs community for so long, you get it as well. But there are things you would share and tell in the club to other club members that you wouldn't share outside of that to the neurotypical world. And that's because you've had experiences where they don't understand. They say things, they'll make you feel bad. I had family members that would just say things to me that were absurd because they didn't get it. They didn't understand. And I really feel that if we can share our voices, not just to each other, but give the neurotypical world that peek into what it's like, help them understand, and that will help society move over and make room for our kids, not try to squish our kids into their society.
Yes.
And it's the whole like square peg in the round hole thing. Let's make some square holes for the square peg.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's dive into your chapter. So I want to start with you challenge that whole cultural idea that adult starts at 18. And from your lived experience, what does true readiness for adulthood really mean? What does it look like for our kids? I know they're not kids, for our adults with mine's 37, and I still call them my kids. So, but what does it look like for autistic individuals, and how might parents' expectations kind of shift or change when it comes to that whole cultural expectation?
Absolutely. So, as a lot of us know, when our kid turns 18, society and everybody is saying, oh, you're an adult now. You're an adult. You can vote. You can be charged as an adult if you commit a crime, those kind of things. And so what happens is our teenagers, when they turn 18, think, well, I'm an adult. I don't have to listen to you. I don't need you, those kind of things. But they are not developmentally where they are chronologically. And what I mean by that is most people with autism have about an 8-year delay, or up to an 8-year delay when it comes to developmental age versus chronological age. So the 18-year-old in front of you, their body is 18, and parts of them function like an 18-year-old, but cognitively and understanding wise, they might be on like a 10 or 12-year-old level. So would you have a 12-year-old move out of your house on their own? I wouldn't.
No.
So
No.
one of the strategies you can use is to say, okay, I understand that you're 18 and people are telling you that you're an adult. So then you start asking a series of questions. Well, that's very interesting. So you're an adult. So do you pay for your own housing? Well, no. Do you manage your medications? Well, no. Do you drive yourself? A lot of them don't. No. Do you manage, your own appointments? No. Do you do all the cooking for yourself? No. Do you clean for yourself? Do you have a job? No. Gosh, I'm sorry then. You're just not quite an adult yet, but you're practicing to be one and you're making progress.
Yeah.
And I have every confidence that you'll get there. So let's work on these skills so we can get you where you need to be to go out and be independent as an adult on your own.
I love that. And I've had multiple conversations with parents and talking, where they've had difficulty. He's 17 and he's still in bed and he's not looking for a job and he's not doing this and he's not doing that. And they forget that age. And I would kind of go, okay, if he was 12, oh, yeah. And that goes for family members. That goes for educators to remember, yes, they look like this age, but we really have to keep those lenses on tight that say, okay, that's not quite where we are. So I really appreciate that answer. And the list of questions is great.
And of course, it's individualized. Everybody's different. But you're the parent, you'll know what to ask. But just keep that in mind. Like, okay, they can shower, they can dress themselves, they can do this. But that's not the only skills you need to be an adult, and break it down into smaller pieces.
Yeah.
That's true for every skill. For example, like I just talked about showering. Well, to us, that's one skill, get a shower. But really, if you break it down, there's smaller pieces. You have to turn on the water, get it the right temperature. You have to plan ahead, have a towel, a washcloth, soap, all that stuff. And then there's the steps, wet my hair first. Don't try to wash it when it's dry. You kind of get the point, all those little mini steps. And so you can do that with anything. You can take living on your own and pull that and break down. Well, what do I do for my house? Well, we pay our bills. We, manage food. We plan the grocery store runs. All those little things that we do are skills that they need to have. So point them out and help them work on it.
Yeah. And this kind of leads into, how that delicate balance between nudging a child forward and honoring their timeline. How do you balance that between overprotecting or stepping away too soon?
That is an excellent question, and it is not a simple answer. I am a visual person, so I tend to think of things visually. I picture behavior kind of like a giant water wheel. Well, where, something's going to pour out, this behavior is going to pour out, but then it's going to go back around, and eventually it'll come back around. So what you try to do, you can't make a behavior go away, but you can try to replace it with a better behavior. Mm-hmm. So the more you kind of embed those better behaviors, you're going to get more of that coming back around, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But within that, there's layers, because sometimes your child's going to need more support than others. And it's so hard to balance that, especially as they get older and become that adult age, especially like early 20s, because they don't want to listen to mom anymore. They don't want to hear it from you, which, if you think it's a pretty neurotypical behavior at that age. We don't want to hear from you, but they need you. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a conversation that you want to keep having with your child is, okay, what is your goal? What would you like? What do you want your future to look like? Mm-hmm. Here's what I would like it to look like. Kind of merge the two and say, okay, I would really like to help you get to your goal. And let's work on these pieces, because that'll set you up to get you where you want to go. Mm-hmm. We all have good days and bad days. Yeah. So,
we sure do. So in your chapter, I would love for you to speak about watching your child walk towards a cliff.
Yes. I think as our child becomes an adult and has those independent skills and gets out on their own, that doesn't mean that they're neurotypical. They're always going to have autism. Mm-hmm. And that's going to reveal itself in different ways. But in my story, I talk about how when my daughter was living in her own apartment and she was doing really, really well, and then something happened. She let her friend move in with her, and things went very, very downhill. I don't want to give too much away. I talk mm-hmm. about it more in the chapter, but especially when someone else is telling them, you're an adult, you don't need to listen to her, don't talk to her, she's bad, she's the reason for all your problems. And
oh God,
my daughter in particular is very susceptible to that, and I know a lot of people with autism are easily influenced by who they're around. Hmm. So now they're out there, they don't want to hear it from you. The more you try to push or get them to see, hey, you are walking towards this cliff, and it's a cliff because we have more life experience. Yeah. We can see it happening. This person is isolating you. They're taking advantage of you, even to the point for my daughter got to where they were abusing her. But she just did not want to hear it. And so it's so heartbreaking. And the more you push, the more they push away. So sometimes, even though we see them walking towards the cliff, and this can even be with a neurotypical child as well, mm-hmm. sometimes there's nothing you can do except stand at the bottom of the cliff and wait. And eventually, they'll find you there, and you'll be there for them. And that is just heartbreaking. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Yeah. Is just watch her go through this and not be able to help her because she doesn't want help.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that viscerally, like for any adult kid that's going through, something in their life where you see it happening and you just cannot stop it. And I think even with my own kids, I just kind of take this. I got the faith in you that you're going to figure it out, and I got your back.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's hard. I'd love to ask you, what was your biggest fear for your daughter that you no longer have because of this work?
What was the biggest fear for my daughter that I no longer have? That is an excellent question. I got to think about that one for a second.
Take your time.
That I no longer have. I think there's a lot of fears that are still there for me, because in my daughter's case, she can't set personal safety boundaries. And so she's gotten rides with strangers home from Walmart and different things like that. And inside you go, oh my goodness, But I will say that she has been doing pretty good at maintaining her day to day, taking her meds, going to appointments, all those things where it was kind of like, gosh, I hope she keeps going to her, psychiatrist and things like that. And she's doing it, and she's doing it on her own, and she's finding rides. She's, I'm not worried that she won't be able to do the day to day or to manage her life in that regard.
I love that.
Would I do it differently? Probably, but she's her own person.
Yes. Good point.
And I have to let her live her life, her way.
Yeah.
And so I'm confident that she can do that now and have the right support in place, because that was always my goal as a single mom, especially, was, okay. And this is a question a lot of people ask. What's going to happen to my daughter when something happens to me?
Yeah.
Because you cannot make your child solely dependent on you, because we're not always going to be here.
Yeah.
And so I was able to get those supports in place. She has case managers, she has different people. And again, I might not agree with what they're doing, but they're there. She can go to them. She can ask them. She has counselors. She has different people. And so I don't worry about that anymore. I know if something were to happen to me, she'll be okay.
I love that's such a good answer. That's such a good answer. So for parents listening in real time, can you give them a couple of, statements, words that you're not going to use, that are not going to be effective in trying to support our kids in fostering their independence and not taking over? So maybe, things we're not going to say, and then maybe a couple of things to say, like what wording, what phrasing works better than, oh my God, what are you, crazy? I can't believe you left the stove on. Like, what I mean? Like,
yeah.
In real time. So parents listening going, yeah, okay, this sounds great, but what do I do today?
Yeah. And it's hard because that's something we do their whole life, like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You should do this. Or you can't do that. Shouldn't, can't. Those are villages you don't want to live in.
Yes.
You cannot judge their friends, even if you know they're not good for them and you don't like them. Because think about it, when you were that age, who would have you chosen? Mom and dad or your friends? So be careful what you say about who they're with. You can I always told my daughter, I said, I'm going to let you live your life, but I have opinions, and if I feel like something is breaking the big three, and these are always the big three: health, safety, or welfare. I told her if anything is going to interfere with those three, then I'm going to voice my opinion if I feel like it's really important.
Mhm.
So we just kind of developed that understanding that she don't have to like it. That's what I told her. You don't have to agree. You don't have to like it. But I'm going to voice my opinion if it reaches those big three.
Mhm.
So maybe kind of talking to your child about that and trying to lay that groundwork early. And just tell them, I have every confidence that you're going to be an independent adult and have, a fulfilling life. That's all we want for our kids. So saying things like, I believe in you. I've got your back. I'm in your corner. I'm here to help you in any way I can. I'll always be here for you no matter what. And that goes back to the whole waiting at the bottom of the cliff.
Yeah.
I'll always be there for you no matter what. You're going to have trials in your life. We all do. But knowing that you're going to be there no matter what, I think it's somewhere in the back of their head,
Yeah.
And I think laying that foundation is, you can even tell them, I might not like everything that you do, but I'm always going to love you no matter what.
I love the threes. I love the three top priorities, which is amazing. And I also think that when we are having these conversations with any kid,
Right.
it just brings awareness. Like, even if they don't agree, even if they act like you don't know what you're talking about, it's there. If we say it enough times, it's there. And a really good example is that my kids are like 37 and 30. Oh my gosh, 35. That's terrible. And all growing up, like literally all growing up, from the second they could understand English, I was like, make good choices, make good choices. And they say it to me now. So it sticks, like it sticks like it sticks. And even if they don't agree with it, I think it's almost like we insert our values and our morals without saying, this is the value, this is the moral, but they see in how we act and what we say and our actions, what kind of morals and values we have. And I actually did an interview, I think he's like 25 and he's on the spectrum. And I said to him, what, if anything, what is the one thing you wish parents would do to help or support? And he said, stop being an effing hypocrite. It was like, what? Say more? And he said, yeah, you tell me this, this, and this, but I turn around and I watch you lie to your aunt on the phone, or I watch you eat chips out of the cupboard without people think, or whatever. He said, just stop being a hypocrite. And I thought that is really interesting because they're not listening to us. We know that. Our kids don't listen to us, but man, they watch everything we do. So I thought that was super interesting. Oh my gosh. Okay. Can we speak to, what was that quote? Keep the light on. Keeping the light on.
Keeping that. I know what you're talking about.
When there's distance, navigating estrangements.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Always keep the door open, even if you're kind of standing back. There's gonna come a point where they're gonna push back because they're trying to assert their independence. Yeah. They want to be independent like that. And you don't want to kind of get into like that tug of war, push pull kind of thing, and just finding the line between that is so difficult for anybody because, there are no handbooks for kids. Especially kids. And that's what I tell my daughter. I'm like, we are in a new season now. We don't know how to do this. We're figuring it out. We're learning how to do this. And she's my only child. I've never had an adult child before. And I just tell her, I'm learning how to do this. And I'm going to make mistakes.
So good.
But, I am always here for you. Just leaving that lifeline out there. And sometimes, and this is the hardest thing, is just stepping back.
Yeah.
And it breaks your heart and it tries you and it helps you grow. But always leave that lifeline there. Like, I'm always here. Even if you don't talk to me for a year, if you call me, I'm going to pick it up. If you come by, I'm going to open the door. You know, if you call me and you need a ride to the doctor, I'm going to help you. And it's not that enabling or spoiling like some people might think. It's that, you know, I'm going to let you live life on your terms because you've earned that. And I'm here to give you what you need. Sometimes that's support. Sometimes that's distance. And letting them go through and figure out who they are as a person, as an adult. Like we all did. It might happen a little bit later. You know, we think of our college years and how we kind of learned who we are then. But keeping in mind that they're developmentally delayed, you know, they might not go through that till they're 30.
Such a good point. Yeah.
Then the frontal cortex in a normal human being doesn't really fully develop till age 25, sometimes a little later. So you take the 8 years off and say, okay, maybe by the time my child is 30 or 32, then she'll have that frontal cortex, executive functioning area, and those things. So just keeping all that in mind and understanding the part of them, also, you know, keeping in mind that autism's a part of them, but it's not who they are.
Yes. Oh, I just want to ask then, I mean, you're a seasoned parent who has ASD, but we've also got listeners going brand new to this, early stages, just got diagnosed.
Yes.
Can you give them a little bit of direction from like getting off the diving board here so that they're not stepping in the landmines? They can avoid a few landmines. Like, what can you suggest? Even a couple of points that might really be impactful for their new journey?
Absolutely. Number one is research. Research. Now, it's a little tougher if you have a girl, because all the research so far has been done on boys, and the testing they do for autism is based on the research they've done for boys.
Really?
But that's beginning to change.
Okay.
That is definitely beginning to change and kind of shifting. So keep that in mind. Usually girls are diagnosed a little later, and that's part of the reason why. So research, do your homework. Second of all, you want to network. I can't say that enough. Network. If you don't do that, number one, you're going to miss out on things, because I learned about resources not from even being a healthcare worker in my area. I learned about it from other parents that I was networking with. Like, hey, you know, this is a resource out there. Network. You're going to feel at times like you live on an island, because of going back to what we talked to earlier, the neurotypical world isn't really going to understand what you're going through, even though they may want to try to empathize with you. Don't isolate yourself. Network. And number three is just start planning early. And people say, well, my kid's only 7 years old. They've got a lot of time until, you know, time sneaks up on you. Every skill, everything that you're working on from day one is going to tie into the outcome. This kid's going to grow up and be an adult.
Yeah.
How can I point them in the direction to facilitate independence and fulfillment and success as an adult starting now? Pick your head up. Because a lot of times we get so tied up in the day-to-day, my kid's having this behavior at school and I don't know what to do with it, and this and that. And yeah, you have to deal with those things, but always look up and say, okay, This is what's going on now. That's where I want to go. How do we get from here to there? And you don't have to have all the answers.
Yeah.
I use a process called the 3 rights. When you're overwhelmed and you have all this stuff to do and you don't know where to start, boil it down. For the first right is right now. What's the one thing that I need to do right now? And focus on that. Number 2 is the right people. Who can I reach out to? Again, from networking, who can I reach out to help support me or help me get through this task or just be there for me and understand what I'm going through and encourage me? Right person. So you have right now, right person. And number 3 is right after. So right after I finish this, then what's next? What's the next one to bump to the list?
Oh, it's good.
And that's how you take this whole, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do, and say, okay, right now, this is what I have to do. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? How do you climb Mount Everest? One step at a time.
Yes, there you go.
So if you boil it down and follow the 3 rights, you're definitely going to help ease a lot of that overwhelm.
I feel like that could go to anybody, for anybody, in any overwhelming situation.
Absolutely.
Seriously, that's gold. Oh my God. I don't even know what to ask now. I'm going to ask you. Susan, is there anything I didn't ask, anything you really want to say before we wrap up?
You don't have to be embarrassed.
No.
Who cares what everyone else thinks? They're not in your shoes. They're not raising your child. The only thing that matters is your child. That's your job as a parent. Your job as a parent is to keep them safe. Those big 3, health, safety, welfare. To cover those, guide them in the direction to get them where they're going to go, which is adulthood. And what everybody else thinks about it really doesn't matter.
So good. It's so important. Susan, I'm just so honored to have this conversation. I'm honored to collaborate with you. And I'm so grateful for the work you are doing in this world. Thank you so much for chatting with us. Thank you for listening to Parenting Teens Advice Redefined. We are coming into our Autism Awareness Day, April 2nd. This is part of the autism series. I'm going to create a whole series around this that you can just share. And, even if you think you don't know somebody on the spectrum, I can almost guarantee you know somebody on the spectrum. And if you have friends or somebody around you who's getting into this new diagnosis and is feeling some kind of shame or feeling some kind of isolation, here you go. You're welcome. Please share this. This is really important information and vital conversations we don't have enough of. Again, thank you for listening. I'm so grateful for you being here, and we'll see you next time. Before you go, I really want you to know something. I'm not just a podcaster. I'm a speaker, a published author, and the founder of Insight to Impact. I'm an educational strategist and family advocate with over 25 years of experience helping families and schools support teenagers from diagnosis to IEPs, to interpreting assessments, to high school transitions, and beyond. This podcast, Parenting Teens Advice Redefined for Today's World, is part of my mission to help parents understand schools, support their teens, and feel heard and seen at the table. If today's episode helped you, please subscribe or follow the show, share it with another parent, and leave a review. It truly helps families find the support, and I'm very grateful when you do these things. And if your teen is struggling in school, navigating a new diagnosis, or you need help preparing support at school, you can work with me directly through educational consulting or my 90-day advocacy program. Just visit CherylPankers.com to learn more and to book a complimentary consultation to see if I can help. I know parenting is frickin' hard, But if you're listening to podcasts, if you're reading the books, if you're looking for answers, you are not failing because you're still trying. You do not have to figure this out alone. I got you, and we'll see you next week.